This week, we have to give another shout out to Naoya Matsumoto, because he's just writing great chapters every single time he does drop. Granted, it's been a couple of weeks, but when you got Iharu getting you this hype and Captain Ogata making you smile like that, how can you be mad? Welcome back to our channel, The D Trope. It's your boy Dalton, aka the Sai Senpai, and today I'm just going to talk about Kaiju number 8, chapter 63. We had a great chapter this week, and without further ado, let's just get right into it. So this chapter kind of started off exactly where the last one ended, with Reno crying, and he's basically more or less in a daze while this is happening. Iharu's sticking his hand out to him in that daze, basically pulling him out of it and carrying him on his back, saying, "Well, Reno." And it was funny seeing Iharu pick up Reno and carrying him on his back, because it gave you those flashbacks to the early Kafka days where Kafka got hurt and Reno carried Kafka on his back. And honestly, throughout this chapter, we're going to see a lot of similarities to Reno is now getting treated by Iharu how Reno is treating Kafka. So it's funny. It's like the big brother, smaller brother, youngest brother, even though youngest brother wants to be, we'll just keep going, I don't know. So while Iharu's carrying Reno on his back, he's like, "Hey, I got Captain Ogata to give us extra time. The senior officers are going ahead and attacking the Hanju and distracting it. I'm running up and I'm gonna get it to a vulnerable state and you're gonna destroy it." And Reno's like, "What? But like, if you do that, you're gonna put yourself in harm's way." And like, right as soon as he does that, Iharu slams his feet on the ground. I almost imagine that kind of like Road Runner from the old school Looney Tunes sound, and turns around and just headbutts Reno and is like, "Don't take me for a joke." And this is another one of those times where I'm saying that you see these same kind of similarities between how Reno is treating Kafka to now how Iharu is treating Reno. Where remember way back when, whenever Kaiju number 10 was invading the Tachikawa base and Kafka was about to transform, and Reno was like, "Hey, you don't need to do that. Like, you're an officer, you can depend on us now." And now Iharu's turning around and looking at Reno and is like, "Hey, like, don't take us for a joke. Like, and I'm older than you, so shut up and let me take care of this, and you do what I told you to do." And Reno just starts laughing and crying at the same time, because Iharu just goes on to tell him that you've been shouldering all this burden by yourself. Like, let us help you out. Exactly what we've been talking about all these videos now. Nobody has literally told Reno, like, "Hey, stop worrying about everybody else. You need to worry about yourself right now. Your leg is broken. You have 16 muscle tears. Let me help you out." So it was awesome to just kind of see Haru take care of Reno for a little bit and see Reno let out that cry. The only other time that we've ever even seen Reno be emotional outside of him saying that he's weak a couple of chapters ago, or last chapter, is literally the last time that he said that he was weak, because Iharu and him almost got killed by Kaiju number 9. So Reno's finally letting emotions out that he never lets out. He just, like I said, always shoulders this burden that he quite literally doesn't need to shoulder. So Reno basically tells Iharu that he's amazing. Every single time that he starts getting stressed out and freaking out, Iharu's always there to be the one to calm him down. And I thought that this was another awesome case of Matsumoto showing the similarities in the relationships once again. Because especially if you own the first volume of Kaiju number 8, whenever you look at the description page on Kafka, it actually talks about how Kafka always feels a lot more calm whenever Reno's around. So it's just something that made me laugh whenever I read that, because I'm like, wow, like, there's a lot of similarities in this chapter specifically. But going back into it, Reno's finally like, "Okay, Iharu, like, I believe in you. I'll leave your job to you, and like, I'll take care of my job." And Iharu's like, "All right, let's get into it. We into overtime, boys." So Iharu charges out towards the Hanju and starts shooting at it. And Captain Ogata's like, "What? Like, what's happening? How is Iharu moving like this at 24%? So Ogata buzzes over and he's like, "Hey, track Iharu's percentage for me real quick." Guy looks at it, he's like, "It's at 41%. Iharu turns around and he's like, cut, fade away. It's actually fallen to 22%. Ogata's like, "Nani?" Literally, that's his face. Hold on, back up. I'm not making that face again, but I'm putting that face up on the screen now. And then, next thing you know, Iharu turns around, starts dashing towards the Hanju again, and whenever he dashes towards the Hanju, his percentage goes right back up to 42% again. So right as soon as that happens, you have somebody right behind Ogata that's like, it seems like his combat level actually goes up whenever he gets in the zone. It's funny because it reminds me of, and then Ogata's like, well, color me surprised. He's the same as me. And that means that, is Ogata gonna be his sensei now? Because Ogata then goes on to say that whenever he does get those temporary spikes, he's quite literally just as strong as Reno. So if they do teach him how to use that power and actually hone that skill, he's gonna be a monster the same way that he describes Reno. And then right after that, we went into like my favorite part of the chapter right here, where Iharu basically goes on to talk about how he was never a prodigy. He was never supposed to be one of those people that was going to be on the same level as Mina Ashiro or Isao or Narumi or even Reno like he thought. And he was like, I know that that's not the path I was supposed to take on. And he's like, and the path that I'm on right now is going to be a path that's going to have another wall up in front of it again. But the difference between the path that he saw before and the path that he sees now is like, even if he does see that wall in his way, he's going to keep hitting it and hitting it and hitting it until he breaks through. And as he's like, until I hit, that's like as he's scaling up this Hanju at the same time that he's in his head thinking about this. And he's shooting this Hanju over and over again and scales up until he gets to the same spot that Reno froze the Hanju at where its core was earlier. He takes another shot at the Hanju, opens up the core and yells out to Reno to go ahead and take that last shot at the Hanju. And Reno's sitting over on the bridge where Iharu left him at, snipes at the Hanju and takes this awesome shot that Naoya Matsumoto drew beautifully, of just the first shot going straight through the Hanju, and then right after the shot goes through, you see all the ice in the last panel coming out the backside of the Hanju. It was just a dope way to end the chapter, and just a nice like little cap on this training that we've had. There's definitely been some like super ups and super downs during this neutralization training, and this was really only like a training arc for Iharu and Reno. Like, there's still so many more people that we have to go through and look at like what their training arc is going to look like. I'm crazy excited after this to see what Hoshina is going to look like whenever he starts embracing Kaiju number 10, especially since Kaiju number 10 has a will of its own. And I'm guessing that his cells are gonna have to be compatible in some sort of way for him to be able to use that suit, the same way that Reno's cells are compatible for him to be able to use the number 6. So we'll see if my theory starts coming into play once we talk about Hoshina. But even after that, we still need to talk about Kafka more after all of this has happened. How has he been training on his own, since he technically can't work for the Defense Force, as Narumi was telling him, but he still has to lend him his hand. So, man, we got some places to go from here. We got some places to go. I'm working on another video for y'all for Kaiju by the end of the week. But other than that, I don't really have too much else to say. I felt like this was a pretty cut and dry chapter. We ended the mission. What are you guys excited to see next? Who do you think we're going to talk about next? Outside of that, it's been your boy Dalton, aka the Sly Senpai. Thank you for clicking on this video. If you did like it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. I'm going to keep bringing you guys a lot of Kaiju number 8 content. I'm going to start bringing you guys Jujutsu Kaisen content. My brother brings a lot of Undead Unluck content, and he's also going to have a little surprise in store for y'all as far as Chainsaw and a little bit of other stuff goes. But other than that, peace. Sign me, boys. Sign me.